Hey everybody, welcome to a special episode of Friends Talking Nerdy. This is Tim Jousma, and with me I have the greatest legal mind in the Pacific Northwest, and one heck of a sexy Twi'lek. It's Professor Aubrey. How you doing?
Good. How's everybody doing out there?
I don't think they can hear you.
They can hear me.
Oh wait, I don't think you can hear them.
Oh, I can't hear them.
I don't know, it's late for me. I had a joke there and it went away.
It just happens. It happens sometimes.
It does. So yeah, as we mentioned, this is a special one. This is coming at you on a Friday. Our usual times for our regular episodes are on Wednesdays and Saturdays, but we have a special event here in Portland, Oregon that is starting tomorrow. Tell the folks at home what that is. After I kill time to cover your yawn.
That is the Rose City Comic-Con. Doo-doo-doo.
That's right. Obviously, for obvious reasons, last year it did not occur, but Rose City Comic-Con is back this year, but with some stringent COVID rules in place. Cross fingers. we hope it is pretty well guarded, and I'm assuming that Portland being Portland, I don't think we're going to have too many problems.
I don't know, because the event probably does draw people from outlying areas, and it's really easy to forget that Portland is kind of in an island, in a sea of
dumbasses,
not like-minded people.
Yeah, and if they do what they've done for security in the past, hopefully any sort of checkpoints will be right at the doors. It sounds like that's what's going to happen. So as long as, there's nothing gets past that, gonna be cool. And obviously I'm sure there will be the food stands, I'm sure will still be open, so there will be people eating in some places, but I hope they even have that taken care of as well, in terms of if you do eat in this particular spot.
I didn't see any mention of food.
But true, it didn't say that, but the Oregon Convention Center, as you know, has, like food stands already built in there.
It does. I wonder if they'll be open. I think that will be something to notice.
Yeah, and that's what we're going to do here. We are actually recording this the night before, and, the beauty of our new podcast host, Anchor, like we've mentioned many, many, many times, is that we do have the ability for remote recording. So this is going to be one of our travel log episodes. So we're going to do, this is the start of the travel log, and like any of our episodes, once we'll have musical interludes to give little quick breaks in between the scenes. But I thought to start things off, let's talk about what we're excited to do at Rose City.
Okay, let's.
Now, obviously I've mentioned it at the start here, and I believe we have mentioned it a little bit on the show, but we wanted to wait for this to go a little more in depth. This is going to be your first cosplaying experience.
Absolutely. First time cosplayer. Now, this isn't my first time wearing a costume or anything.
Well, obviously, yeah. I mean, if most people living in America have at least done a Halloween, so you're going to, dress up for that. But, but for something like this, for like a Comic-Con, in terms of the...
Yeah, for a convention, I haven't done that, and I haven't gone to any kind of cosplay events or anything.
Yeah, so tell the folks at home again. I mean, I've already said what it was, but you let them know why you picked the Twi'lek, what drew you to that, and what some things you put on the costume, because you designed everything from the top down.
Yeah, so why did I choose a Twi'lek? Well, I think they're really cool looking, like of characters that I'm aware of in the sort of nerdy genre, so your fantasy, sci-fi genres are, because I'm, and I guess superheroes as well, but sci-fi is my thing. Star Wars is kind of what got me into being a little geeky the way that I am, and so I wanted to do a Star Wars character, and Twi'leks are cool looking, and they also are very graceful and are often dancers, and I love to dance, so I thought that was cool. And I just remember as a kid thinking that, Jabba's slave dancer was, just really strikingly beautiful. And so I went and looked at pictures of Twi'leks, and I was like, oh my God, they're so cool and interesting, and they can be anything. They're from the planet Ryloth. They've been oppressed. They're mostly freedom fighters. There's just lots of cool ones. There's Jedi ones. They could be in the Empire. They could be in the Rebellion. You never know. So they're just an interesting character to play, I think.
All right. Now, tell folks about the costume. And when I say design for the costume, we're not there are some cosplayers that will design everything in terms of if they make a dress, they personally sewn that dress together. Now, some of your outfit is stuff for like the dress that you're going to wear is going to be something purchased, but obviously there's a lot that you've put into work-wise in the costume as well. Let folks in on what you've been working on.
Yeah, I'd say most of the work went into this sort of creative process of trying to come up with how to do it. So, I had this idea of how do you get, how can I make myself look like this person? And I went through several, versions of her and what she would look like. And originally she was going to be blue. And it was just funny how things kind of came together, because it was like, you want to match the fabric paint to the face paint, so you got to decide what color you're going to be. And then I decided to make the headpiece out of a pair of tights. That's one way that you can make those tentacle-like appendages. So I decided to do it that way because I thought it was the easiest and cheapest way to do it. Mm-hmm. So then I had to match the fabric paint with the face paint with the tights color that I was going to use. So once I figured that all out, I ordered the tights, and then it took a while for all the stuff to get here. So I had this concept that I was totally not sure was going to work, of using the tights as the tentacles. Okay. Or the Leku is actually what they're called, the Leku, sorry. So I eventually got the stuff and followed some tutorials that I have found online. So I think that's very common, is looking for information online. And there are lots of people who've been Twi'leks in the past. And so there's lots of information online. In fact, there was once at one con, they did a Hooters takeoff. Hooters, the restaurant Hooters, where the women wear tight clothing, but it was called Hutters, and all the waitresses were Twi'leks with Hutters shirts on. With instead of an owl, they had Jabba as the mascot. So yeah, so that was cool. Anyway, so I found a lot of information online about how to make the Leku. And so I read a lot about it. The tights got here. I put it together. They're basically tights that have been sewn so that they're pointy at the ends. And I read that it makes them move around more realistically if there are weights in the Leku. So I put fishing weights in the tips of the Leku so they would swing back and forth. Mm-hmm. And they're basically tights stuffed with polyfill. And then I had to figure out a way to keep that on my head. So I found some headband patterns online. And I was able to purchase, I think for $10 from a cosplayer, the pattern for a headpiece that could be used to keep the Leku on. So then I had to figure out what fabric to make that out of. I decided on a fake leather type black fabric. Then I had to sew that.
Tell the truth. You killed a cow and made the leather yourself. No.
No, I didn't do that. I ordered some ear cones because Twi'lek females have ear cones instead of ears. Those never came, so my Twi'lek costume will not have ears. And then I had to decide what to wear on my body and whether I was going to paint my whole body to match my Leku. I picked a Leku color that was pretty close to my skin color, so that if I didn't want to do my whole body in my hands, for example, I didn't have to. Which is great, because I think it actually looks pretty good with no makeup whatsoever. And I think I look pretty good with no makeup whatsoever. So I'm thinking about doing a very minimal makeup look with the outfit.
And that is the beauty of the Twi'leks, as any Star Wars fan can tell you. They, do come in a variety of colors. There are, what we would consider humanoid skin colors, and then you have the, green-skinned ones. There are blue-skinned ones. They come in all varieties.
There are purple-skinned ones. Yeah, they come in a wide variety of colors. Some of them have spots. There are red ones. Those are usually Sith, so I'm going to try to avoid the red ones.
Dicks.
So, yeah, then I had to decide what to wear on the rest of my body. I wanted to wear something that covered a lot of my body since I wasn't going to paint it, so I decided on a black dress. I already had something that I can wear as a black belt on the black dress, and then I have a robe that goes over the top that's just sort of out of a very thin cottony fabric. So it's going to be kind of Jedi-y looking, but all in black. I think she is, she's more of she works for the rebellion, but she's more of an administrative type.
Okay, but not a secretary.
No, she's definitely not a secretary. I mean, she makes...
Not that there's anything wrong with secretaries. They do amazing jobs.
No. But she makes policy decisions at very high levels about how things are to be done in the rebellion.
Yeah, and the only reason I added that caveat there, to be clear, obviously didn't want to...
disparage secretaries.
Yeah,
totally. No, I have utmost respect for secretaries. I've worked as a secretary. Many awesome, amazing, talented, smart people have been secretaries. So it is not disparaging to call someone a secretary, but at the same time, it has been used as a pejorative, and people, particularly women, have been limited in their careers by the perception that they are secretaries no matter what they're doing.
Yeah, so put that caveat there, but
yeah.
Enough of the seriousness. Back to the sexy Twi'lek outfit.
The sexy Twi'lek outfit. So I'm going to wear some black boots with that, and I have a staff that I've added some fake leather to. So I do have a weapon in case someone does attack me.
There you go.
Yeah.
Kick him right in the nuts.
Yeah, and I was really happy to see that Rose City has tons of cosplay stuff this year, so I'm super excited about that.
They generally do. I mean, you're gonna find that like more than half the crowd is gonna be dressed as something, and if it was anything like 2016, most of the Harley Quinns are gonna be guys.
Really? There were tons of guy Harley Quinns?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so it's, it's...
Maybe there'll be Black Widows this year.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
2016 for, when I wrote for Latino Review Media, when I got the press pass for Rose City Comic Con, I got a Black Widow picture.
Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Just a picture. Anyway. But now, being that this is your first Comic-Con, I mean, I'm sure you are aware of what types of things that could happen. You've seen news events of Comic-Cons in the past. We've watched Comic Book Men, so you're familiar with that culture as well. But this is virgin territory for you. What are you looking forward to the most?
I think definitely seeing all the cosplayers and seeing the cosplay booth and taking pictures on the cosplay backdrops, and that's like my number one thing is that I want to see, that I want to go and just sort of be around that environment and see if it's something that sort of resonates with me or not.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm most excited about. What are you most excited about?
I think I mentioned it to you before. I don't know if I mentioned it on air, but there is a certain vibe at a well-run con that can make you feel extremely creative and extremely happy. And the times that I have gone to Rose City Comic Con, I've felt that in spades. So it's one of those types of just wonderful creative moods that just makes it to where you want to like run out and like create something. Just and it's everything all at once. It's seeing the cosplayers, seeing all the time and effort it took for people to put these costumes together. Now, in terms of the costumes that people wear, I mean, even the ones that don't look professional, the ones that, I mean, because what I mean by professionals, there are professional cosplayers who put thousands of dollars into the outfits that they have on, but we're talking like seeing a little kid in like a Halloween Spider-Man mask or something like that having fun. That is fucking awesome to see. And also seeing people that are shy in real life finally get a chance to let themselves free in a way by pretending to be another character. That's what I like seeing there as well. Overall, I mean, I'm also definitely excited to check out the gaming section again. It sounds like they're getting the old WrestleMania game there, because they have the gaming section is old arcade games, and it's like, if it's like anything past 3 or 4 rows of them, so there's going to be plenty. They will even have the video game bar we went to, I think, is one of the places that provides it. So like they will even have like couches set up with old TVs where you can play like Nintendo games or Atari games or something like that. They got the tabletop games, which that would less interest me, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't go through and play with it, because the first time I went there I played my first session of Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh yeah, how is that? Because they do that at every con. They have if you go to the first round of the day in the tabletop gaming room, you can do your first Dungeons and Dragons. They give you characters. Like if you're intimidated about it, you can go to that session.
Yeah, that was the nice thing here, because again, that's part of the creative atmosphere, because it encourages everybody to get involved. What they did have when I went there, and what I'm assuming they will have again, is they have experienced dungeon masters that prepare for this, prepare for people that have never played Dungeons and Dragons, like in my case in 2016, or maybe have very few limited experiences, and give them a very basic adventure to give them an idea. It's not one of those versions of Dungeons and Dragons that can go 16 hours or something like that. It's a very basic story they tell, but it gives you enough of an idea of what Dungeons and Dragons is, and that can easily kill a good hour.
Well, it's a good hour spent.
Yep. So that, and just seeing what's for sale. I would love to see if I could find the first comic I ever bought.
And what was that?
I know where to get the number. I don't know the specific number off the top of my head right now, but it is a Batman comic that was released in 1989. That was written by the legendary Marv Wolfman. Marv Wolfman was the first editor that sent Stephen King a rejection notice. Oh. He also is very famous in comic book history for, I believe he did Crisis on Infinite Earths or something like that. I mean, like one of those big, important stories that, still, are having billion-dollar movies. He even created Blade.
Oh, wow.
Yes, Marv Wolfman created a vampire.
Uh-huh.
And that's another thing, too. Speaking of Marv Wolfman, this is just a tangent. He helped Marvel kind of get past part of the Comics Code Authority, because the Comics Code Authority, which was put into place in the 50s, thanks to Frederick Wortham, jackass psychiatrist back in the day. But part of the Comics Code Authority was that they specifically had this note that you could not have like werewolves in a story. But Marv Wolfman came along, and by the Comics Code Authority rules, Marvel couldn't technically put his last name on that story.
Wow.
So once they were able to bypass that, then it kind of opened the gates in the 70s for Marvel to kind of delve more into the horror comics again.
Yeah, interesting.
Yep. So, but yeah, just kind of seeing if I can find some comics, seeing if a lot of the good stuff for sale. Some of my favorite T-shirts, like the Super Friends shirt I bought at Comic-Con. So it'd be cool to find a special T-shirt. But again, more than anything, it's just being in the atmosphere. That's what I miss. That's what I want to go back to.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm really excited about feeling that energy, and I'm really excited about some of the things you are as well. So I hope we're going to be able to spend some time playing some games and spending some time in the exhibit hall for absolute sure. There's also a number of guests that are coming that are available for autographs and photos. That's a big draw for some people.
Yeah, for us, I mean, the tickets that we do have are just for tomorrow, so the likelihood of us either getting an autograph or being in one of their talks at one of the conferences are probably not that big. But admittedly, because of the pandemic, it's not like they had a huge list of stars that are coming anyway. I mean, like the biggest star I think they got this year coming is Christina Ricci and George Takei. Both great actors, don't get me wrong, but both well past their heyday in terms of overall popularity, because in the past they would get big names. They got a Stan Lee before, they got current actors that were playing the Doctor or something like that. But this year, obviously, they were not able to get too many big marquee names for any of the talks or anything like that. But again, not the end of the world. Sometimes those things are not the most fun either.
Seeing the celebrities talk or getting the photo, or
well, honestly, it's sometimes can sound more fun than it is being in the room, because what I learned when I did ask the question of Stan Lee at Rose City in 2016 is that if the celebrity has done it long enough, they essentially have preset answers for most any question that can come. And, if you are very familiar with that star anyway, they're really not going to say anything new that would really interest you. And for me, it was just like, I would much rather have, because it's a cool experience to run across a celebrity, and I think that is a positive thing and should be celebrated. Like, oh my God, I saw that person. It doesn't mean you have to be an asshole and make their lives miserable or anything like that. But seeing someone that it would be cool to see George Takei. Don't get me wrong. I mean, if I did, because that's Sulu, for God's sake.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and so, but our goal there is just more about the ambiance than anything. So that's, what I think, we'll be focusing on.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I can definitely focus on ambiance.
Yes, and also, too, I know you are really, really going to enjoy, like, the jewelry.
Mm-hmm. Maybe. I don't wear a ton of jewelry.
But you still like looking at it. I mean, I
think I'd be really interested in the art.
Plenty of art. There are artists there, and also comic book artists, because that's the thing too. In Artist Alley, you will have comic book artists that will sell copies of their comic, but they'll also sell special lithographs, or some of them will even draw up a picture there for you while you wait.
Oh wow. That's cool.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, in a situation like that, it's not going to be a terribly detailed. It'll just be a pencil sketch, but it's a pencil sketch. And if it's a big enough person, I mean, put that in some lamination, put it on the wall.
Laminate that sucker.
I know. But yeah, I know there was one name I saw on Artist Alley that I was interested in seeing by the name of Jerry Duggan. He is most known for working with comedian Brian Posehn on bringing back Deadpool to Marvel in 2005, because it's only been recently that that character has been big because of the Ryan Reynolds movie. In the past, Daredevil had a crowd, but it was a very, very small crowd. You know, relatively speaking, compared to today. Of course, I mean, he was not a Spider-Man level character.
Right.
So you know, it'd be cool to kind of see him, but again, for me, just ambiance. You know, and it'd be cool to go by like the weapons that they sell too, like Klingon bathlets. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll be cool to see all the stuff that artisans make for sure.
Yeah, so so I think let's go to a musical interlude, and thanks to time travel, by the next time you hear us, a whole day will have passed. Ooh.
Ooh, that's so fancy.
I know, so fancy. So with that, here's the music. All right, we are back, and we are officially in the Oregon Convention Center.
We're inside.
Yes, we are waiting for food. We had to wait an obscenely long amount of time to get the order on.
Yes, we did. Everything is obscene at the convention center, though, every time I've been here.
Yeah, just ridiculous poor service. But anyway, we are here, and definitely excited. Got the message bag that we ordered, and
Yeah, the messenger bag that we got from Rose City is really cool.
Indeed. I've been looking for one like this for a while, honestly, and kind of nice to have it, because I always, it's nice to have something to where you can carry your big stuff. I mean, everybody has days to where you want to carry something with you, and
you have slightly more stuff than pockets, or you have like your journal you want to write in, or like a book to read,
or an iPad.
Exactly, your iPad will fit in there perfectly.
Yeah, so
that's pretty sweet. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, that is definitely an improvement here. But we are not in the main hall as of yet. We are going to wait until they eventually bring the food here, and then we eat that, and then we go in, and then we'll see what the main hall looks like.
Yeah, it looks really big.
Yes, big, lots of stuff to check out, just lots of stuff. I mean, we discussed it briefly last night, so I won't go into that again. But just being able to go through Artist Alley, I'm excited.
I'm super excited, and so far I've seen lots of other cosplayers, which has been really fun. There's a Star Trek guy. We saw some guy that was dressed as a raven and had a dragon as a hand puppet. We've just seen like all kinds of cool stuff already.
Indeed, and once those doors officially open and we walk on in, we'll see more. So, did you want to cut to a musical break, or did you have anything to say?
Let's cut to a musical break now, and then we will rejoin once we are in the exhibit hall.
If we can. So, because the one thing I forgot is that reception in the Oregon Convention Center is not that good. And with the Anchor app, it does kind of rely on some reception. Now, having said that, there are definitely workarounds, and so one way or another, you are going to hear this, but we may have to have some fun. But that's nothing you at home have to worry about. You just have to worry about this musical interlude. All right, we are back here. It is me solo at the moment, and you will know why here momentarily. I am back home right now from Rose City Comic Con. The professor has another engagement, so I'm wrapping things up solo right here. And I had a horrifically horrible day at Rose City Comic Con. At a Comic Con of any size, there will be times to where you might be frustrated. We're talking line size, we're talking overeager people. I mean, you can't expect to have a 100% happy environment, but from the very first moment we got there, the tension was in the air by the horribly trained volunteers. They were rather rude from the outset, talking to people like they were 5-year-olds and whatnot. So, we were able to, after some ridiculous waiting, get inside the building after showing our immunization card and ID and all that stuff. And to one of the guards that was a prick, hey, fuck you, pal. Anyway, then we get inside, and the hall had not yet opened yet, so the professor and I wanted to get a quick bite to eat. So upstairs, I forgot the name of the place, and I don't even care to know the name at this point because the service, it was the restaurant in the upper, on the main level of Martin Luther King Boulevard, the restaurant that you see once you walk into the main entrance there, and just the staff. Wow, again, they looked bothered when you wanted to talk to them, when you wanted to say, hey, can I get a menu? Hey, can I order? We had to wait 5 minutes to find out just what to do. And then from there too, the food that they provided, that they charged $14 for, was no different in size than like a $5 like gas station sandwich that's been sitting on the shelf for like 4 days, and they even cooked it in a microwave. So it's just that I can't. Just that place. And then we had the premium passes, so we were able to get into the main hall a little early. The benefit of a premium pass, that essentially gives you a little bit of a head start with the shopping. But once we got on the main floor, there were problems from there as well. I found it offensive that at a Comic-Con there were only 3 booths that sold comics, and even then, like one had a decent amount of long boxes, but each long box was stuffed so hard that you couldn't look through anything. You had to take out a chunk of them just to be able to kind of sift through and read it, and the other 2 were just stuff like it looked like just comics that they found at a garage sale and they bought in bulk and put it in a box. Just nothing of quality. Just, it's like they went to a dentist office and grabbed all the comic books that they could. And it ultimately became a cash grab, and yeah, Rose City Comic Con is not a charity. I get that, they got to make money, and the artists that are there have to make money as well, but there is a difference between the creative atmosphere I've experienced at Rose City Comic Con in the past and just this purely just transactional affair that it was there. There was nothing that was really happening apart from, hey, would you like to buy this? Hey, would you like to buy this? And I think most offensive of all, and the most unforgivable here, because everything I've said so far could be put in that thing of it's just bad this year. But the fact that once the main doors opened at 1:00 and you saw the huge sea of people come in, even with the premium people, the people that came in early, it was obscenely busy, and you had quite a number of people that had chin diapers on. Like masks were not enforced there at all. No, were there people walking around without a mask? No. But enforcement of masks to me would be, hey, chin diaper fuck, put it up over your fucking nose, you stupid piece of shit. But no, didn't want that either. So once the people came in, it was very clear that it was not safe to be there, and people are gonna reply to me, hey, you got immunized, you're immunized from this. But again, Delta variant people, it's like I took the chance going out when you have an event like this, when you have the movie theater. We've discussed this, like I took I realize that going out, even under non-pandemic circumstances, you have a chance of getting sick. I worked retail long enough to know that, people are gross and that you can get a cold from just anything. And now that we got a pandemic that could, reasonably kill you, and even if you are have the immunization in you, that you could still get sick and face serious long-term health consequences, why would it was okay? It was poorly run. Take a breath, Tim. It was poorly run. The amount of people that were in there was obscene, and it will not shock me at all to find out that we have a small outbreak thanks to Rose City Comic Con. It was just offensive that many people were allowed into this building. And if there's anybody that from the Rose City people that listen to this, if there's anybody that goes in the hospital and anybody that dies, that's blood on your hands. Okay, so if that happens, I hope you can live with yourselves. And what does this say to me for my future with Rose City Comic Con? I am not going again, ever again. This was obscenely offensive in the time of a pandemic. Okay, I'm not saying it shouldn't have happened. What I'm saying is that they should have looked for a different location and did a better job at just crowd control, because people are gross. People are fucking gross out there. And people are also not listening to guidelines from health officials during the time of a pandemic, and the fact that the Rose City Comic Con thought it was okay to run this in an enclosed building during this pandemic with the only thing on their end that they can say publicly that they did is check ID cards. Great, you check the ID card, but you do realize that Delta variant can still be passed over. So this is just wow. I am livid at how bad this experience was. I did put that on Twitter. If you are a follower of the show's social media page on Twitter, I did put that on, and the folks at Rose City did immediately respond back to the tweet I wrote saying, let's talk it out in a DM. And no, I'm not talking it out in a DM. I am doing my best to tell the few people that listen to my show that if you care about your safety, you are not going to be safe going to Rose City Comic Con. And if they are just this inconsiderate about, your safety during the time of pandemic, I would say keep that in mind the next time, we don't have a pandemic and Rose City comes along as well. So this whole recording started off as I really desperately wanted to have a day, just a day, with the professor to share in the spirit of what Comic-Con meant to me. In 2016, I went to Rose City Comic Con, and I, had a horrible year personally at that point. But Rose City Comic Con in 2016 was so impactful to me because of what it did for me going forward. It gave me enough confidence to continue on with my creative endeavors, which has led us here. And most importantly, I got to speak to Stan Lee. That's a thing I will never forget. But I wanted to be able to share that with the professor. And because the folks at Rose City were so intent on making money, regardless of anything else, regardless of people's personal safety, I wasn't able to give that to her. So folks at Rose City Comic Con, fuck yourself.
Subscribe to Friends Talking Nerdy on iTunes, the Google Play Music Store, as well as Spotify. Remember to support Friends Talking Nerdy on Patreon. Goodbye, darling.